Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is February 8th, 2021. This is getting crazy. This is absolutely insane. It seems like every single day the stock market just keeps making higher highs. And I'm sitting here kind of on the sidelines in between trades, just wondering, when does this all come crashing down? You can see by the charts here, for the last week, we just keep blasting through the previous day's highs, and with all the economic news out there, right? The reality of the economic situation, the jobs market, the housing bubble, the stimulus, right? Well, we know the markets are addicted to stimulus. So this, all the talk about the $1.9 trillion plan that Biden and the Democrats are just going to force through, apparently, that could be pumping the markets up a little bit. But none of this is actually healthy. None of this is good. We all know that this is not going to end well for most Americans and most people throughout the world. There's that saying that kind of comes to mind. What is it? The market can stay irrational longer than you can remain solvent. That's basically where we're at. I mean, this is, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I mean, the highs that we're experiencing in the markets, considering what's actually going on in the real world, in the real economy, there's absolutely no connection there. It's completely divorced from one another. But we already know that. I'm just going to sort of talk to you guys about some things that I've been looking at today, some things that are kind of on my mind. We will go through some of the commodities and we'll look at a couple of stocks towards the end of the video. But the first thing I want to bring up is actually this YouTube channel, Free American Press. Very interesting video. It's entitled Time to Move to OogTube. I've never heard of that. But he says it's the new YouTube, which does not censor. Its motto is broadcast freedom. And so, in this video, he talks about just his issues on YouTube. By the way, this kid is 17 years old. And, if you like truther content, if you are into that kind of thing, this kid's channel has a lot to offer. This was actually a channel that was somebody had sent to me, and they were like, hey, you might want to check this out. This kid's talking about some very interesting stuff. But more than that, he gets into, in another video here, he gets into, where is it here? Yeah. This video here, this is the video that was emailed to me. So again, this is coming from the Free American Press. It's a very small channel, right? It has less than 600 subscribers. I really do like finding these gems on YouTube because they're few and far between. If you're like me, you're sick of the mainstream crap. You're sick of the Super Bowl. You're sick of the trending list. You want real content by real people. And so, and I don't mean any disrespect calling this guy a kid, but he's, according to his description down here, he says, my name is Alexander and I'm 17 years old. He talks about being banned on Twitter, losing 20,000 followers. So this kid has experienced the brutal crackdown by big tech. But in this video here, he talks about 3 things to invest in: food, land, and precious metals to protect yourself and family for what's coming, or for the coming storm, he says in the title. And he goes on to talk about Bitcoin, all right? And his opinion on Bitcoin is very unpopular, right? It's extremely unpopular right now. In this time period, to be bearish on Bitcoin, or to be skeptical of Bitcoin, or to not hold any Bitcoin. You guys know how I feel about it, right? I really do not like the idea of my hard-earned money tied up on a thumbnail drive for 10 years, So this kid goes on to basically say, and he says it several times in this video, that cryptocurrency is a Ponzi scheme. It's a scam, that the real assets are food, water, land, and precious metals. Even though this is a very unpopular opinion, I do have to sort of tip my hat off to this guy because in a society or in a condition right now where everybody is supposed to be bullish on Bitcoin, and if you're not, you're kind of like, it's like the cool kids at one table, right? And they got all the Bitcoin, and if you're bearish or if you're just not interested in cryptocurrencies, a lot of people they'll even disrespect you for that, right? They'll disrespect you and say, "Oh, you don't understand the computer technology behind it. You're too, dumb to appreciate these new digital tokens." But this guy comes out and basically says that it's a scam, right? But he also goes into how the internet was actually created by the government. And I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole in this video here, but he's right when he talks about the government actually creating the World Wide Web. And people actually think that cryptocurrency, this blockchain technology, is completely secure, and sort of people even believe that it's off the grid, right, so to speak, or it's outside of the system, which in my humble opinion is probably the furthest thing from the truth. But when we think about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, I see people all the time. I mean, even on my Instagram feed, they have their retirement fund. They've got $90,000 in Bitcoin. They got another $20,000 in Ethereum. And at some point in time, they are going to want to cash out. And the only way they're going to be able to is if they are able to sell, right? If they're able to dump their, shit coins onto a bigger fool. And who is going to be buying all this cryptocurrency if it reaches $100,000 a coin? Right? I mean, maybe somebody will, but I wonder if people, I'm talking about on a mass level, right? And the general public has no idea what cryptocurrency or Bitcoin is. But when we think about how many people from the financial world or whatever have sort of piled into these new, I guess, forms of investment, these Ponzi schemes called cryptocurrencies, I wonder if people on a mass level have been completely scammed, like 100% scammed, and they themselves just, for whatever reason, they won't admit it to themselves, right? Or they can't admit it to themselves. People that have put their life savings or have put, a couple $100K or a few, tens of thousands of dollars into cryptocurrencies. I really do wonder if maybe these people have been scammed and there's no way for them to really recover, in a dollar amount what they put in. Because you have to understand, all of these people that are supposedly holding on to cryptos and investing in cryptos, they never talk about liquidation. Right? I mean, people say, "Oh, I've made, $1 million." We hear these stories. And maybe early on that was, actually possible. But you got to understand, somebody that's buying Bitcoin at $45,000 a coin, who are they going to sell that to? Right? Who could these people liquidate even if they wanted to? Right? If they wanted to liquidate tomorrow, would they be able to? I'm skeptical, right? Obviously, I'm not the be-all, the be-all, end-all when it comes to cryptocurrencies. And you can take my opinion for what it's worth at face value, right? To you, it doesn't have to be worth anything. But, this is sort of things that I've been thinking about because, when I see the mainstream media, such as CNBC, pushing Bitcoin and running propaganda for cryptocurrencies as hard as they are, it really makes me wonder, who wants us piling into this, right? Do they want us piling into cryptocurrencies and pushing these bubbles up, similar to how the stock market looks right now, right? And I mean, Bitcoin is even crazier than that, right? I mean, $45,000 a coin. If people are making money, I'm happy for them, right? This is not me hating on people that are holding cryptocurrencies and, on the screen it says in their retirement fund they have 40,000 or 90,000 or 100,000, right? I'm happy for these people. I just really do wonder, and I'm concerned, would these people be able to actually liquidate? You see a lot of numbers on the screen, right? Digits in the software, but could they actually liquidate and turn that into dollars if they wanted to? The other thing too, and I'll talk about this in a couple of minutes, but the volatility makes it completely, like not a choice, right? It completely disqualifies it to be a currency that we could actually use because of the volatility. But more than that, nothing is actually priced in cryptocurrencies. I'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes here. But, this guy from the Free American Press, what's his name again? Alexander, 17-year-old kid comes right out and says, cryptocurrencies are a Ponzi scheme, and, it's basically a scam. It's a very unpopular opinion. It's an opinion that, I've put out there a couple of times, but, it's inspiring to see other people just put it the way that they see it, right? Articulate exactly what they think, because I think there is a lot of pressure, just social pressure, on social media to be bullish on these cryptocurrencies. Something else that this guy brings up from the Free American Press, and I really do recommend this channel, guys. Definitely go and check it out. I don't know how much longer he'll be on YouTube talking about some of the things that he's talking about, but he brings up this, all right, this picture here. And for some of the listeners out there, we're actually looking at a magazine cover from The Economist magazine. And this is from the 9th of January, 1988. And the title of the main featured story is "Get Ready for a World Currency." And they've got the eagle, right? Could be maybe an American type of eagle, sitting kind of perched on burning dollars, and there's a coin, right? Kind of a coin that looks similar to a Bitcoin, right? The picture they always show of Bitcoin at the sort of like the eagle's chest, or maybe the eagle's heart area. And the coin definitely resembles what the Bitcoin logo looks like. And, this is from 1988 in The Economist magazine. So I can't help but wonder if they have, if somebody has planned this for a very, very long time. We're being told that, Bitcoin is scarce, it's rare, which may be true. But if it doesn't have a utility, if it's too volatile to really actually hold any, real value, if nothing is actually priced in cryptocurrencies, then what do we need it for? The other thing that I sort of think about is, I'm not too big on holding a lot of currency anyways, right? I mean, I have enough currency in my stock trading portfolio to, get in and out of stocks. I have some cash reserves on hand, but I like gold and silver better, right? If I was going to be holding on to value long term, I would want to be holding on to gold and silver. So if I'm not that, excited about global fiat currencies, why would I be that interested or excited in crypto, digital currencies, right? This is what they are. They're just currencies. Currency is not necessarily money. Actually, currency is not money, right? Let me correct myself here. Currency is not money. Gold and silver, that's real money. The American dollar, or should I say the petrodollar, that's currency. It's more of a medium of exchange right now than actually a store of value. The dollar definitely doesn't hold value. Excuse me. So when we think about cryptocurrencies, they're very similar in a lot of ways to the fiat currencies. And I believe they're controlled in a similar fashion that the fiat currencies are, more than people realize, right? More than we've been led on to believe. They have all these cover stories and stuff for Bitcoin and where it came from, but that's what these are. They're cover stories, and the computer technology behind it makes it interesting enough for the newer generations to get excited about it. But it's no different than the internet. Like, there's people that still believe the internet was just this sort of random thing that came out of the private sector, right? People believe that Microsoft was started by a college dropout in a garage, and these are the cover stories that I'm talking about. Bitcoin and Ethereum, they all have their own versions of sort of the Bill Gates, college dropout, little nerdy middle class kid working out of his garage to build, a multi-trillion-dollar business. These are the lies that we're being fed all the time. And with cryptocurrencies, it's no different. So that's a very interesting cover, right, from 1988. Get ready for a world currency. And they have what looks similar to a Bitcoin right there. And I think the date even says like 2018 or something on the coin. So maybe some predictive programming, right? I don't want to get too conspiratorial here, but this is the kid's website from the Free American Press. It's just thefreeamericanpress.com. Definitely looks like some interesting content. So in talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, the big news is that Tesla, or Elon Musk, bought about $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin for the balance sheet, for the Tesla balance sheet. And this other guy that I watch, I actually just found this channel too a couple of weeks ago. His name is Rob Sultan. I think he's kind of like a precious metals dealer. But anyways, he does about an hour-long live stream about the Tesla news, Tesla buying Bitcoin. And he talks about how Elon Musk, was on Twitter, was basically pumping up Dogecoin, right? Dogecoin is basically a meme cryptocurrency that people are actually trying to pump up to like $1. It's worth it was worth fractions of a cent, but now I think it's worth about 5 or maybe 6 or 7 cents. And, lately with the GME and the Wall Street bets and the pump and dumps, people are piling into Dogecoin, which, by the way, there's an unlimited amount, right? These cryptocurrencies, they're mined, and Dogecoin has an unlimited amount. It can be mined forever, right? It's not like Bitcoin where it's scarce. And this guy's take is pretty interesting because he talks about how Elon Musk tweeted out Dogecoin a couple of times, probably leading millions of people on, right? Leading them on to think that, that he himself was actually putting money into Dogecoin. And then he comes out a couple days later talking about, with the news that they bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Now, do I necessarily believe that? That's what the headline says, right? Elon Musk is serious about crypto, right? They really want us taking this seriously, right? Because Elon Musk, he's, I'm not a fan of him at all, right? I think he's kind of creepy. I think, his wife is kind of creepy. But, I'm not going to get into an ad hominem attack on him. That's just sort of my vibe. I just, people love Elon Musk. I'm not a fan of Elon Musk, right? I don't necessarily trust him either. He wants, autonomous cars. I would rather drive my own car and have, control over the road myself. But Elon Musk wants to take that away from us, right? Elon Musk is also, wasting probably trillions of dollars traveling to space, supposedly. What a waste of capital. But I'm not going to get into all of that. The point is that, by these headlines, they really want us to believe that Elon Musk bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Now, that being said, eventually, right, they're going to want to sell. So, for Elon Musk or for Tesla to profit from this Bitcoin trade, they need people to pile in there to pump up this Ponzi scheme even more so that they can cash out with a profit, right? Peter Schiff talks about this all the time, how Bitcoin is basically, it's you buy into it hoping that you can sell to a greater fool. And I'm not saying Elon Musk is a fool. He certainly is not. But I think we would be fools to believe this headline, to believe this story, or to, allow this story, even if we did believe it, to influence our decision to pile into something like this. And this is exactly what this is about. I think the reason they came out with this news is because there are probably whales, institutional whales, maybe even banking cartel whales that are sitting on a certain amount that they want to get rid of, and they need the public to pile in and pump these Ponzi schemes up. Whether it's the stock market, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's SLV, the silver ETF, where the custodian that's holding the silver is JP Morgan. All of this stuff is it's fake. It's a scheme, right? It's a scheme to take your money and distribute it to somebody else. So we need to be careful about this. And I know these headlines are going to headlines like this: Elon Musk is serious about crypto as Tesla puts 1.5 billion in Bitcoin. The herd is going to eat this up, and they're all going to, deposit as much money as they possibly can tonight into their cryptocurrency exchanges or their WeBull account or their Robinhood, right? A lot of these people, they're pumping up the price through Robinhood or WeBull. And on Robinhood and WeBull, you don't even have the keys to your crypto. Yes, you have, I guess, exposure to the price. You have exposure to the price increasing. But a lot of these kids, they're buying cryptocurrencies on Robinhood or on WeBull or some other platform like that. Maybe the Cash App, right, by Square. And that this kind of story is going to, this is why they put it out there. Because there's people that want to sell. This is what I think this is about. There's people that want to sell, and in order to sell for a profit, right, they've got to jack this thing up to 45,000, jack it up to 50,000. Hell, it could go to $1 million. I'm not going to talk about why I don't really, why I'm not interested. Let's see what Ray Dalio has to say. Ray Dalio is a very famous investor, and he made these tweets back in November. And there were a couple of things that he said, but, basically he's, and I would say humbly, he said, I might be missing something here about Bitcoin, right? This is directly from his Twitter. For the listeners out there, I'm reading from Ray Dalio's own Twitter feed. He says, and I'd love to be corrected, but my problems with Bitcoin being an effective currency are simple. He says, number one, Bitcoin is not a very good, it's not very good as a medium of exchange because you can buy, he says Bitcoin is not very good as a medium of exchange because you can buy much with it. I presume that's because I think he meant you can't buy much with it because it's too volatile for merchants to use, right? And I was talking about this a couple of minutes ago. From going from $45,000 to $30,000 in a weekend, why would you want to use that as a medium of exchange? But he says, number two, it's not a very good store of value either, right? It doesn't hold wealth because the volatility is too great and it has little correlation with the prices of what I need to buy. So owning it doesn't protect my buying power. And, this is genius the way he puts it out there, right? Owning Bitcoin does not protect your buying power. And neither does the dollar, right? But Bitcoin is even more volatile than the dollar, right? And volatility is a double-edged sword, right? Yeah, you could have volatility one way and I suppose become rich, but volatility to the downside, it's not going to be a good thing. He says somewhere else in here, I think this might have been another tweet, but he also talks about how, Ray Dalio talks about how nothing is actually priced in Bitcoin either. Right? It'd be one thing if merchants or, online platforms, it'd be one thing if commodities and goods were priced in Bitcoin. They're not, and I don't think they're ever going to be. I think anybody who's saying this, they're just a part of the pump and dump scam, and they need to, liquidate, right? They need to sell to a greater fool. That's, my opinions on it. I would love to be convinced otherwise. And listen, I've consumed a lot of content from the Bitcoin bulls. Whether it's the who's the guy that does lunch money with his girl. Can't think of his name. Let me see if I can look. Yeah, Anthony Pompliano, right? Whether it's Anthony Pompliano, even George Gammon he claims he's long-term bullish on Bitcoin. But when you look into these guys, right? Anthony Pompliano from the mainstream media, he's a guest on CNBC all of the time. George Gammon as well, another example from the mainstream media. I think he actually produced a show, I want to say in Colombia, and you don't get to these levels unless you are, really plugged into the system. And so I may enjoy some of the content from these gentlemen, but I don't necessarily, take everything they say just at face value. I'm always sort of suspicious that, especially here on YouTube, that there are not, how should I say, maybe forms of propaganda that are very subtle. Were this 25 years ago, a guy like Anthony Pompliano, maybe he'd be on CNBC exclusively, right? But now that we have these other online platforms, they sort of plant these people all across the web. So, I'm not necessarily saying that these gentlemen are agents of deception, but I'm very, very suspicious, especially if somebody is, pushing Bitcoin as hard as some of these guys are. But that being said, Ray Dalio, very successful and wealthy investor, gives you two perfectly good reasons to be bearish on Bitcoin, right? The volatility just doesn't make it a good medium of exchange. And also because of the volatility, it's not a very good store of wealth. And thirdly, nothing is priced in Bitcoin, right? People say, oh, you can buy things with Bitcoin now. No, you got to convert it to dollars and then you can buy it. Right? Maybe that's done automatically. You don't have to actually manually do it, but it's still the things you want to buy are priced in dollars. So you may as well just hold the dollars, right? Peter Schiff, an eternal Bitcoin bear, right? And I don't agree with everything Peter Schiff has to say, right? As much as I enjoy Peter Schiff, his sort of dollar bear mentality, I think Peter Schiff could be wrong, especially on the short term, right? If you look at the DXY, well, first of all, Peter Schiff has been wrong about Bitcoin from the beginning. At least been wrong about his price projections. Do I think Bitcoin is a bubble? I personally think it's a Ponzi scheme. But when it comes to the dollar, I would say I'm bullish on the dollar. If you look at the DXY chart, it looks like we kind of bottomed out here. Could we retest these bottoms? It's definitely possible, but it does look like we're making higher highs and higher lows. And, before they completely wipe out the dollar, I think we're going to see dollar strength. But Peter Schiff, on the topic of Bitcoin, he tweets back to Ray Dalio. He says, Ray, you're not missing anything except participating in a bubble. Your criticisms are spot on. It's the people buying into the mania that are missing something. You've witnessed enough bubbles to know that they often grow to be much larger than you expect before they burst. And this is true, right? Whether it's the housing bubble, the tech bubble, the current bubble in the stock market, or the current bubble in these cryptocurrencies, they could get very, very large. But again, this thing is kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Like with the dollar, maybe long-term we should be bearish on the dollar, but in the short term, it might be a little hasty to think that they're just going to collapse the dollar tomorrow, right? That the dollar is the system that, they're going to be using for the foreseeable future. The other thing I'll say about this is that a lot of people, really push that sort of bearish dollar mentality, and they always talk about the supply, right? The money printing, the stimulus, the quantitative easing, but not many people, not even Peter Schiff, talk about the demand, right? The demand of other countries that need dollars to, as a medium of exchange. They need dollars to trade. Right, like outside of Russia, who wants Russian rubles? Basically no one. Outside of China, who wants Chinese yuan? Not a lot of people, not a lot of countries, but every country wants the dollar. They need the dollar to trade. But they also, there's a lot of dollar-denominated debt. And so the demand to pay off these debts, right, they need dollars. That is not something we see a lot of people talk about. This is one reason I really enjoy the Uneducated Economist podcast, because he does all the research and presents that side, right? He presents the bull case, at least short term, for the dollar. So who knows? Maybe we'll see Bitcoin come down, the dollar go up on the DXY. Maybe we'll see the stocks come down. As stocks go up, the dollar does tend to go down, and as the dollar goes up, you start to see stocks come down. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes in the next few weeks. If we do see the dollar go past 92, 93, that would be a good indication that we're seeing some legitimate signs of strength when it comes to the dollar. I just think it's unrealistic to think that they're going to collapse the dollar tomorrow. I do think it's more likely the stock market will collapse long before the dollar does. And I think there is going to be a demand for dollars, right? This is why I like having cash in my trading account, because it's there, I can trade with it, and if I need it tomorrow, I can just transfer it to my bank, and it's there the very next day. So I do think holding on to some currency right now, some American currency, I think would be wise, because, it's always, you want to go after the things that everybody hates. Right? When we think about investing, when we think about, and of course, this isn't financial advice, right? This is just for entertainment purposes, educational purposes, and it's just my opinion that I'm putting out there. But everybody's hating on the dollar right now, right? It's so uncool to be a dollar bull. And so, the undervalued assets, if we want to think of cash as an asset right now, the undervalued assets is what we need to go after. You don't want to be piling into Bitcoin at 45, or I'll keep it on the I. I don't want to be piling into Bitcoin at $45,000 a coin, right? Or Tesla at $900. Many tens, tens of times past its forward earnings, right? These stocks are trading at, whether it's Tesla or Amazon. No, I want the undervalued asset, whether that's silver, precious metals in general, commodities, right? I like the commodities bull market, or the dollar, holding on to a little bit of cash. And I think if they do try to go to a cashless currency, right, an online digital dollar, the real cash is going to become more scarce and more valuable, right? Think about the silver certificates themselves from, the first half of the 1900s. Those things are, they sell for double what the face value is. Like a $1 silver certificate can sell for $2, even $3 a piece. Sometimes more, So think about what happens when they try to remove cash from the system, people are going to hoard it. And it's going to become more scarce, and it's going to become more valuable. So, I'm stacking bankroll. I'm stacking currency, bankroll, coins. Doesn't all have to be silver. Even the cash right now, I think a lot of people are overlooking the cash that you have access to right now. It may not always be there. So maybe put some of that away, right? That's all I'm saying. Maybe put some of that away. Wrap up this video real quick. Let's just look at trading economics. Crude oil is at 58.22 a barrel. We'll see if Peter Schiff is right about this. He's been wrong about Bitcoin, and I think he's wrong about the dollar right now. But Peter Schiff says we could see $100 per barrel oil very, very soon. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Gold is at 1832, so showing a little bit more strength. We saw gold really kind of kick back below 1,700 a couple of days ago. Or, I'm sorry, below 1,800. To like $17.99 a couple of days ago. And silver holding strong at $27.35. So I'm very excited to see where this goes. The main headline is Wall Street extends record run. At some point these stocks have to correct. And then you have the news with Elon Musk. So let me know what you think about Elon Musk buying $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. Does it make you want to buy Bitcoin, or does it make you want to stay as far away as you possibly can? Comment down below, give the video a like, follow me on social media, and with that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your evening. As always, until next time, God bless.